Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the My Stock Journey channel. So today I did want to take a step back from the investing world and kind of give you guys a little bit of knowledge about myself. I know I did post a video kind of somewhat about this subject about 2 or 3 months ago, but I know our channel has grown tremendously and exponentially since then. I know I have a lot of new viewers, and maybe you kind of just want to know a little bit more about me. Maybe you want to kind of, learn a little bit of the lessons I've learned over the last couple years without losing money in the process. That's definitely nice right there. But what I did want to go ahead and do is kind of just talk about the different phases of my financial life that, over the last 2 or 3 years, I really started diving into the world of financing, understanding money and understanding how to grow my wealth. And, this has been a journey, right? It's been a journey. Around 16 years old, I kind of made the decision that I wanted to set myself well off. I wanted to make the best of my life, and I wanted to do the best be the best version of myself possible. And I know that that is very, that becomes a lot easier through money. It's not really money I'm chasing, but it's more of an enjoyable lifestyle that I'm chasing, something that I can just, every day I really don't have many obligations. I can kind of just live my life to the fullest, and that's more easily accessible through, having wealth, having that threshold of money that you can kind of access. And that's the point in my life that I do want to reach. So with that being said, I did want to just sit back and just talk about the different income sources that I've had. I'm not going to go into super deep detail about them, but I'm just going to kind of give you more about the lessons that I learned and how I made money from different phases over the last couple of years. And I'm, I'm just spill the tea. You know what I mean? I love being super transparent on this channel, and it seems like you guys do appreciate that, some people can be wishy-washy about their money. Some people lie about the money they make. Honestly, I don't see the point in that, because if you're on this to kind of glorify yourself, you're on it for the wrong reason. Really, all I'm trying to do is sit here and just kind of give you guys all the lessons that I've learned and try to make the world, a better place, because the world's given me many opportunities, and what I want to do is be able to give back in any way that I can. And this channel is definitely one way that I see myself being able to, give back to you guys, give you guys some lessons that I've learned, so maybe you can avoid those mistakes. And so if you do like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Helps me out a lot. Our channel is just growing and growing, and it's getting weird how much it's growing, but I'm not complaining about it. If you do enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. I do post about 3 times every single week, so you can look forward to seeing videos about financing and investing at least 3 times a week. And if you do have any questions, concerns, if you have any feedback or any suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comment section. I pretty much always reply there, and that's where I get the most feedback from. So I would appreciate it if you do drop a comment, and let's get straight to the video. So first off, we're just going to take it back to my sophomore year of high school. This is basically when everything started to kind of get the trail going. This is whenever I really started to think, okay, I want better for myself. I was at the point I wasn't working. My mother paid for everything. My father paid for everything, and they kind of just got me through life. And it was becoming to the point that it was almost, I felt not vulnerable, but kind of helpless, right? And it's not a good feeling. I come from a very I come from a pretty well-off family. We kind of have the things that we want in life, but it's definitely not easy. All of us are workers, and we all kind of have to work to make it happen. It's definitely not the, this luxurious lifestyle that we live, but I would say that we are comfortable. But that doesn't really take away any of the hard work that my mom and dad have put in and, to give us the life that we do have. And so whenever I was a 16-year-old, I was in my sophomore year of high school, I started to think, how can I start taking away some of this stress from my parents? Because, we were given the things that we wanted if we worked for them. And, we lived a pretty comfortable lifestyle, but I could tell that financing and, money is always a stress. I could kind of always see on their faces that money was not always just easy. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, what can I do as their son to take away some of their stress? What can I do to make their lives easier, since they've done so much to make my life easy and seamless and pretty much give me the things that I want in life? And so I kind of just got the ball rolling, and I was like, all right, what can I do? I just want to make some money, and I want to do, what I can do. So at the time, all I knew was that the people who make the most money are the ones who are doing what they love. You've been told that from the age of, 2 or 3 years old. You're always told, follow what you love and the money will come with it. So at the time, I was big into art. I was, in gifted and talented art at my school. I was in the art program there. I'm actually in architecture school now, so the art things kind of transpired into something else. But I was, I wanted to get the ball rolling. I was like, what can I do that'll make me money? And so what I actually started doing was doing spray paintings. Now, spray painting was something that I always just had a very deep love for. I loved making spray paint creations, and I was doing these things once a day, super big. I'm talking 4 foot by 3 foot spray paintings of galaxies and underwater. I'll put some of the pictures up here. And that was my thing. And I was like, well, I wonder, would people buy these? And so that's kind of the first realization that there's money to be made. It kind of upsets me whenever I hear people say, man, I have no opportunity, or I have no way to make money. And it's just in the life that I've seen and the different things that I've seen, there's always there's some way that you can pull money out of something, because the money's there. There's no shortage of money. And there's no shortage of opportunity, in my opinion. There's money to be made somehow, some way. And as a 16-year-old, that was the first realization. And okay, let's try that. So what I did is I had a Facebook account. I had my Facebook, I had an Instagram, and I had my Snapchat. So what I started doing was just making paintings and just posting them. Now for the first month, honestly, I didn't make anything. People didn't really care. But the thing is that the less people cared, the more I hustled. And I was like, okay, if people don't want these things, there's a reason. If they don't want them, it's they're not good enough. And that's the mindset that I had to put myself into, because it's very discouraging when you work really hard for something and there's no results. And I think a lot of people, maybe even other creators on YouTube, whenever you're posting YouTube videos all the time and just no one seems to care, no one's watching, it can be very discouraging. But if you have that mindset that people may not be watching because you're doing something wrong, the world doesn't owe you anything. The world owes you absolutely nothing. All the opportunities in the world are out there to be taken. And so that's kind of the mindset I was in. And so what I did is I just upped my game. I started watching these different YouTubers, and I started watching these technique videos, and I started doing all these different things to become the better version of myself as possible. And over time, my painting started to get honestly kind of good. I was getting the little faults out of there. I even started a little YouTube channel, which was crazy. I had maybe 60 subscribers on it at one time. And I'll put a little video of it here. And I was just promoting myself, and I was determined that I wanted to make my parents' lives easier because they've made my life easy. And so what I did is it slowly started to work, right? And people started to show a little interest. And people started to slowly be like, hey man, how much are you charging for those? Because I would say, hey, for sale if anyone wants to buy it. And then there was one day I remember I made this big old freaking painting of I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a deep space thing, and it just went off the walls. I'm talking 6 or 7 people now 6 or 7 people at the time was ginormous, because considering no one cared before that. 6 or 7 people were like, bro, that's dope. I want that in my room. How much? And I'm like, $10, man. Now, mind you, this painting was 4 feet long and 3 feet wide. And I literally was like, $10, I guess, that's cool. And yeah, I undercut myself, but that was another growing experience and a lesson learned. Don't undervalue yourself simply for the fact that people may not, it seems like people don't care. Because just because people might not see the value that you see, if you stick to that value in your head and you value yourself to a certain point, don't go below that. But, I went ahead and I sold that, and that was the very first dollar I ever made from genuinely working for something on my own. And, there was a consumer, and me as a producer, made that and got the money. And that was boom, I didn't know what to do with it. What I did with it, I spent it on candy. I know. No, huh? Yeah, I was 16. I was like, boom, I'm spending it on candy. So I went ahead and I bought a whole bunch of candy. And then I was like, well, that was dumb, because now I just have to make another one if I want more candy. So time goes on, and now these paintings start to take off. I'm making probably I don't remember exactly. I was probably making between $100 and $150 a week off doing these spray paintings. Now, mind you, these things took forever, man. I'm talking, it took me 6 or 7 hours per painting, and I was doing one a day, and I was selling these things. But it became nice, and I was constantly making a little bit of money. And this is when my bank account finally hit $500-600, because I already had a couple $100 from, Christmases and Easters. But this was the first time that I actually hit a nice milestone. I hit $500, and I was like, man, I'm rich. I did something, right? And so, but then it became a game to me. It's a game that I still play, because now it's well, I hit 500. Well, can I hit 1,000? Oh, I hit 1,000. Can I hit 1,500? And, and then it started the ball slowly started rolling. I did this for about 6 months. And over the course of 6 months, I made about $1,400, which at that point was just boom. What did I do? I spent the majority of that on games. I probably spent over $1,000 on games. At the time, I was a big geek, and I played Minecraft Factions. I don't know if you've ever played that or know what it is, but it's basically like Minecraft, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff. I was spending hundreds of dollars on it a month. But the thing was, I came to the realization how much more happy and how many more opportunities and experiences I could have if I had a little bit more cash. And so that was when I was bet, the more money I can make, the more comfortable I am, and the more fun I can have, because I'm a thrill seeker, right? And so, that's whenever it really started with me. And I was like, okay, I need to make more money. I'm 16 now, and that means I can get a job. And everybody's like, what? When I was that age, no one really had jobs. At 16 around here, it's kind of some people worked, but most people didn't. But I was like, man, I want a job, And as you guys know, I'm a kickboxer, and I've been training, or I'm an MMA fighter now. But at the time, I was just a kickboxer. I was only doing kickboxing. And I had been training every day from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So I couldn't work during the day. So I had to give up my weekends. And I was totally cool with that. Now, this kind of shows you the mindset, the hustling mindset I was in early on. As a 16-year-old, I decided to give up my weekends because I was working 25 hours in 3 days. I would work in a 9-hour shift, a 9-hour shift, and a 6-hour shift on Sunday. I did that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I did it every single weekend. And I just was hustling, and I did that. And so that was my very first job. I was working as a dishwasher first. Then I got upgraded to a line cook, and I worked there for 2 years, and I was just busting my tail. But the problem with it was, for the first 4 months, all the money I made I just spent. And I came to the realization, how long can I do this? How long can I continue on and just keep making money and then spending it all right afterward? And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to, what if I just start not spending all of it? Now, mind you, you would think it's this simple. My parents always told me to save, but I just, you know how it is. You're a stubborn kid. You're in high school. You're starting to, wear the cool shoes to school. And people are like, man, I like those shoes. Now, mind you, my shoe game was horrible. People were probably lying, but in my head, I was getting boosted up like, boom, I got to have the new shoes. I want to get a new watch. I'm going to get my hair cut. Now, mind you, my haircuts were not the best. I was, not the best for sure. I was, let's just say it was not that good. But the thing was, I just wanted all these new things because it's like, man, I'm making money now. People are starting to kind of pay attention, and I love the attention. And that's the little, egotistical and naive mindset I had, because it was like, I wanted to make better for myself, but I wanted to be better and make better for myself to impress other people. And that was the biggest lesson. If there's any lesson that I would tell anyone whenever it comes to saving money, investing money, is that the only person in this world that you owe is yourself, right? You don't owe anything to anyone. You don't have to go out and impress people, because the people who spend the most money are the people who care too much about what other people think. Right? Because yeah, I might love cars and I might spend all my money on getting a cool car and upgrading my car and putting stuff in my car, but that's personal, that's personal joy, and that's totally okay. You want to spend all your money making yourself happy, go ahead. That might not be sustainable over the long term. There might not be any longevity in it. But if you're going to be happy, go ahead. I can't fault you. But if you want the cool car to go impress the girl who honestly probably just don't matter, or impress the friends who probably really aren't your friends, because realistically, if you have to go impress these people to get their attention, how much do they actually care about you? And so that's what I came to realize, is that maybe I need to stop spending all my money trying to impress people who realistically don't care. You get that 30-second gratification of, oh man, those are some cool shoes, and then they never comment on them again. But you just spent $200 for that 30-second gratification from a person who does not matter. No, it doesn't matter. And this is the big realization that I had, is I don't owe anything to anyone. I need to save this money, because if I actually want to live the lifestyle I want, it's going to cost a lot more than what I make now, right? I have to build up this lump sum of money that'll actually provide for me for years and years to come, because one day, what if I just don't want to do this anymore? What if I don't want to go in this kitchen and work in front of a 700-degree oven for 9 hours straight and spend all that money on games, right? And so that kind of that was the next moment. That was the next phase where I was like, okay, I need to start saving. So for the next year, I spent nothing on nothing. I was not spending $1. You asked me to go out, it was not happening. If you asked me to buy anything, it was not happening. The only time I spent money was when I got stuff for Christmas. I'm talking, I spent nothing. I did that for about 2 years, up until I was about right before my 18th birthday. And I honestly saved up a good bit. I saved probably over that year and a half span, I probably saved about $8,000 maybe, but come up to about 9. So I was probably sitting, my bank account probably said somewhere about $8,500 to $9,000. Fully transparent, being honest, about right when I turned 18, I had about 8,000. Then I graduated. Now graduation was big, because of graduation I made a good bit. I honestly probably got 2,000 or 3,000 from that. So I hit 9,000, 10,000. After that, because I spent a lot of it. I ain't gonna lie. I kind of went on a trip, and then I bought some stuff for school. So after spending some of my graduation money, I had about $10,000 flat, right? So the problem is that $10,000 had been my goal for a long time. Having $10,000 in my bank account made me think I made it. Boom, I'm never gonna work again. I'm honestly balling, but that's false. So I got it, and the issue is I got my goal. And that was the first time I had hit a goal, a big goal. So I thought okay, well, I'm done. So I just started spending. So for 2 months, I just didn't make anything. I made some money. I spent the exact same amount, and I broke even. And that was the next lesson I learned, is that setting big goals like that can be very detrimental to your financial journey, because once you hit them, you feel satisfied. Whereas if you set small goals, smaller goals, you'll hit that smaller goal, but then you don't have that satisfied feeling. So you hit another one and another one and another one. And so you go step by step, right? Because whenever we're trying to walk up a staircase, you don't just say, all right, I'm going from this step to that one. No, you have to go step by step and work your way there, obviously. Unless you have like 35 feet legs that you can get to the top of the stairs, it's not going to happen. And so that's kind of the mindset that I had to get myself into was, okay, I need to start setting smaller goals so I stop getting so satisfied. Because I'm the type of person, like, I sit back and self-reflect on what I'm doing wrong and right in my life. Now, I don't know if that's weird to do at like 18 years old, but it's kind of something I've always done, and I felt like I've been a lot more mentally healthy since I've done that. And so, I started doing that and I realized, yeah, I'm satisfied and I haven't made any money. And that's whenever I realized, okay, well, how can I stop spending so much as well? You know what I mean? Because it's like I hit 10,000, then I spent so much without even realizing it. Like I was okay with having 10 grand, so I just spent and spent and spent. And I didn't realize, like, man, this money's flying out my pocket. So how can I stop that? And then that's whenever I discovered the man, the one, the only, Graham Stephan. And Graham Stephan is all about tracking your expenses and doing all that. And then I went on this long tangent. Like, I got to track my expenses. I'm tracking every cent I spend. I'm never spending cash at the gas station because I'll forget exactly how much it is. I'm talking, I was 18. I had an envelope of receipts. Overboard. I go very overboard very often, if you have not noticed yet. But so I went ahead and I started tracking my expenses. Now, this was probably the most defining moment of my financial journey up to this point, because that's when I realized how much I was spending unnecessarily. The want versus the need was like, the ratio was ridiculous. Like literally 75% of everything I bought was just stuff I wanted, when I only needed maybe 25% of the things that I bought. 25% of my expenses were needs. And so that's when I realized, if I cut back on my expenses, now this may sound obvious, but whenever you're in the situation as a kid with really not so much guidance in this, it was not that obvious. But I was like, if I cut back on how much I spend, maybe I can get my goals faster, right? And maybe my goals can become more realistic, easier. And so that's whenever I just I made this Microsoft Excel sheet. I put like gas, food, everything like that. And I started basing out like, okay, how much am I making from this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing? And that was another big lesson, is like, once I started tracking my expenses, I stopped spending as much, because it's kind of embarrassing. It's like, dude, you really spent $100 on that? Like, you really, because it's easy when you don't know how much you spend on stuff, you don't have that moment of like, bro, come on. But when you can go back and look like, man, last month I spent $400 at McDonald's, bruh, that's embarrassing. And it kind of gives you that self-reflection moment. Like it forces you to self-reflect. And so that was a big lesson. That was another huge lesson that I learned, is that, okay, I need to stop spending so much on things, and I wouldn't be able to know that without tracking my expenses. So next up, and honestly, I know I've probably said this already, but this has obviously been the biggest change in my life that I made, to grow my wealth even faster. And what I did was I stopped working for a job that didn't pay me based on results. Whenever I worked as a cook, I got paid a certain amount every single day, no matter how hard I worked or how little I worked, and it was that simple. And honestly, I had no problem with that, because at the time I liked the consistency. But then I started to realize that, man, if I'm a hard worker, and I like to overdo things, and I like to work as hard as I possibly can. If I could find a job that if I work harder, I make more money, then I'd be making more than I make here. And so I was looking everywhere. And then my sister actually started working at a place called The Buckle. Now, The Buckle is just a retail store. I'm sure you might have seen it before. They sell a lot of jeans and everything. And she told me, yeah, you make a certain amount of money, but the majority of your money comes from what you sell. You get a commission. And I was set. I was set. I was like, boom, I'm done. Like, I quit. Now, I literally quit the next day. Like I said, I overdo it very often, but I quit the next day before I did the interview, before I did anything. I was like, boom, I'm going for it. I'm shooting for the stars. Now, I do not recommend quitting your job within a day, because you might regret it. But I just went for it, and it actually turned out well. I got hired at the place, and this was actually right around last August, I would say, last July, roughly. It was right after my 18th birthday. And so I get hired at the place, and now I literally, within the first month, start making double what I made. Now, this is no hate or anything towards the food industry, but just working somewhere where you get paid on results, it's such a satisfying feeling, and it motivates you to work harder. Because you're like, man, if I go in there and bust my tail, I'm gonna make double, or I can make triple what I made yesterday. So you just go, and it's like a competition. I'm very competitive, and I don't like when people outdo me. Once again, I'm an overdoer. But so I started going there, and literally in my first month, I started making like easily double what I made from working as a food cook. Because the food cook, I was making like, honestly, probably somewhere around $8 an hour, which isn't horrible, but at the same time, it just was not the best. And then I'm talking my first month, I was making like probably $13, $14, $15 an hour because I was just busting my tail. So I started doing this. Now, the crazy part about this is, as I said earlier, I'm an MMA fighter. And at the same time as this, my MMA career started. I decided to make the switch to being an MMA fighter. And so that, that pays. So August 3rd of 2019, I had my very first MMA fight. Now, what people don't know about as being an MMA fighter is you have to be an amateur before you can, become a professional. You have to have your amateur career, then your professional career. Now, as an amateur, you don't get paid to fight, but you do get paid from selling seats, and you get paid from sponsors. Now, I've kind of established a pretty good connection with all my people around me, and so I've made a lot of links to different people around the city. So I have a lot of people who support me, right? So my very first fight, I go out there, I have 3 sponsors, I believe, and I go and I fight. Now, I win my fight. I win fight of the night. It was the best night of my life, honestly. And I walked out of there with $700 and like profit. Like after I paid off my shirts, because I sold t-shirts with my name on and everything, that made me a couple $100. Selling seats, a couple $100, but I had to pay for expenses and travel and stuff. So after all that, I walked out there with like $800, and I felt like a millionaire. Honestly, I was like, I made it. Hollywood. And I realized, like, man, working plus this fighting stuff could be like money I've not even seen, because to make $800 at my old job, I had to work 100 hours. Before tax, that's before tax, I made $800. I made $800 a night. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, I figured this thing out, right? So as time goes on, I start and I fight again in November. I made another like $600-700 from that fight. Something roughly. So now it comes December. Now, up to this point, I've probably gotten up to about $12,000. I made about $3,000 from July to December, from August to like November. In that span of like 3 or 4 months, I made $3,000. I was making like $1,000 a month. And now, mind you, it took me 2.5 years to get to 10,000. So if you can do that math, like I was starting to make money a little bit fast, right, compared to what I had been doing. And once again, I attribute that to tracking my expenses and, having the mental game of like, I want to reach this goal, etc. So December is just honestly where everything changed for me. It became the point in my life that my whole life went from up, like I was going like this, and I started going like this. Because I came across Andre Jick. Andre Jick is a dividend investor, and he posts a lot of stuff about investing and being a dividend investor, right? So what I did was I went on his video and I learned about investing, because I was to the point in my life where I was like, I'm saving money, but everyone always says, man, like, invest your money and make your money work for you. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm not Harry Potter. I don't have a wand. I can't wave my wand and make my money start, duplicating itself. So how do you do this? And the only thing that seemed logical as an 18-year-old was investing it. Because that's the most accessible way to make money and make your money make you money at that age around me and with the schedule I have. Because once again, I'm training 20 hours a week. I'm working 30 hours a week. I'm at school for 20 hours a week, something like that. So it was honestly rough. Like, I have no time. So there's no way I could be doing anything that was not passive to make more money. So in December 13th of 2019, I made my very first investment. It was of Tesla. I bought $10 of Tesla at $340 something. And like, honestly, I wish I knew now, like I'd have put all my money into Tesla, but can't think like that. I know. But so I go ahead and I put my money into them, and I slowly start to watch it. And it's the first time I get my feet wet in the investing world. So time's going on, and I'm slowly, once again, like Christmas rolls around, and Christmas, when the place I work, everyone loves buying jeans for their relatives and clothes for their relatives and stuff. So I'm making bank. I think the month of December, I think I made maybe $2,500, $2,600, something crazy. Like it was ridiculous. Because as an 18-year-old, that's big money. You know what I mean? Especially when you go from making $8 an hour to making $2,000 in a month. Like, what? So now I'm sitting maybe like $13,000, $14,000, something like that in my bank account. I'm just feeling on top of the world. And now I'm jumping into this dividend stuff. Like, I'm like, man, I want to invest and I want to watch my money make me money. So I'm investing and I constantly start doing it for months and months to come. And I do this for about 3 or 4 months. Come month 4, it's December, January, February, March. Yeah, so right in March, Corona starts getting kind of sketchy. And you know, there was a stigma at the beginning of the year that some type of crash was coming this year. It seems like everyone knew. It's literally weird. It's like everyone knew it was coming. And so I was kind of holding my money on the sidelines, like, let's see if this really happens. Now, honestly, nowadays, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't try to time the market. I would just go in because time in the market is more important than timing the market. But I went ahead and I just waited and I was like, let's see. So I slowly started putting money in, maybe 1,000, then 2,000. Then come March, I only had about $3,000 invested. And then March 23rd hits where we hit bottom. I'm talking just get destroyed bottom, right? And I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. And I started investing after I saw the market kind of recover. Like March 23rd was the bottom, and I started investing like a lot of money in like April 1st or April 2nd or the end of March, something like that. Because I was sketched out. I didn't want to hit the bottom of the market. I wanted to see when the market kind of recovered a bit, right? Because I didn't want to put my money in here and it goes phew, and then it pops back up. No, I was like, no, let's see some progress before I throw all this money in. So time goes on. And now, mind you, I actually did forget to mention, I fought in January, and that fight was huge. I'm talking, I fought in front probably 1,000 people, something like that. I had the most sponsors I ever had. I sold the most seats. I made $800 or $900 off selling ticket seats alone. My sponsorships, I got like $3,000-$4,000 from. Absolutely insane. I used pretty much the majority of that money I used to buy like training sessions with a personal trainer. I hired a personal trainer, and that's all investments I made from my business account because, you know, so I don't really count that towards my personal like income and everything because I separate myself from my business. But I use that to buy a personal trainer, get new gear and everything that would make me a better martial artist in general. But we won't really count that towards the net worth and everything. But so I go ahead and now come March, I'm probably sitting at about maybe 14,000. 13,500, something like that in my like total. And so I'm going, and like I said, it crashes and I get in. And you can actually go back and look at my YouTube video, the very first YouTube video on my channel. I don't remember the exact date of it, but I know that I had like 7,000 invested because I had just invested like $4,000 just like in one day. So this is the point where it just was like an all or nothing for me. I was like, I'm going in, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gonna go for it and hope for the best. So I'm putting money in, and over the course of like a month, I put in like 10 grand. Now that's a big for me. Like that's almost all my money, right? And the crazy part is just how perfectly it worked. Like how perfectly when I went in worked out. Over the course of the last couple of months, since then to now, I think I'm up a total of about $3,000. I've invested about $15,000. My account's sitting around somewhere around $18,500 to $18,600. I've been able to, you know, do different things. I've been able to help pay for my college. I've been able to do all types of things from that. I actually do hold about a year's worth of expenses in a bank account. That's over $5,000-$6,000, something like that in that account. And that'll kind of go into every now and then. And it just, the moment that I decided to invest was honestly, I think the most important moment in my life, other than switching to a job that pays by results. Because like, man, I wouldn't be where I am now, obviously. Like I've made about 20% of my money, 20% of a return already in 3 months. Like the point I'm at, I wouldn't even have 20,000 yet as a teen. Like I wouldn't even be to that point. I would probably be still sitting in the teens. But the fact that I decided like go for it, dive head first into it and hope for the best was really risky. But it played out so well. Now, I do attribute the fact that it went so well to the fact that I did my research before I went in. Because if you do get any influence or motivation from this, I'm not saying throw your money into something random and pray. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. But what I am saying is that I just decided that people say investing in the stock market is risky, and then there's people who say it's not risky, and all these things. And I was like, you know what? If I want to do something with my life, I have to take risks. I have to do these different types of things that will put me a little bit on edge, but could pay off in the long run. And it's obviously worked out very well to get me to the point that I am now. And once again, I'm nowhere near satisfied where I am. I see some of my friends and I see these people doing big things, and it motivates me. It's this line in me that just wants to do better. I haven't been able to fight in 9 months because of Rona. I don't want to say the real name. So I haven't been able to add to my funds from that. So I've had to figure out other ways to make money. And, you know, It's just been an insane journey. I would honestly say that the biggest thing to take from this video and the biggest thing to take from my journey up to this point is you don't have to impress anyone. No one matters. No one matters. You don't owe anyone but yourself. Don't be selfish. That's not what I'm saying. Don't just say like F everybody, but you don't have to be rude. But I'm saying that in the sense of you don't have to prove anything to anyone as long as you prove to yourself that you're worth it, right? Second of all, save and track your expenses. If you don't track them, you're gonna overspend. Trust me. You will overspend a lot more than you realize because you forget you got breakfast that morning, you go buy dinner that night. You know what I mean? I do that all the time. But track your expenses and understand what you're spending your money on. Treat yourself like a business if you want to see the type of money that businesses make. Third off, invest for your future. Warren Buffett once said, and everyone knows this quote, if your money does not make you money in your sleep, you will never retire. I honestly believe that. If you don't get to the point that your money's making you more money, you're never gonna be comfortable. I honestly don't believe, like, unless you just have some crazy job like 100,000, 200,000 a year, it's gonna be very hard to get to the point that you want to in life. You have to invest. You have to start making your money compound itself. Make more money because that's how you quickly get to the point that you want to get over time. You know what I mean? Quickly in a sense of it'll take you 20 less years. You know what I mean? And, you know, fourth is if you have a job that pays you a wage, if you have the opportunity to work for another job that pays you by results with some type of base, you don't just want to only go off commission. You want to have some type of base of just in case. Consider it. Honestly, consider it. That job might turn out to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. It did for me. You know, I'm super happy. I'm actually a manager at the store that I started working for now, and obviously that's like great. But if you're the type of person who's a go-getter, if you've made it in this point in the video, you're obviously a go-getter. You want to do better for yourself. Consider it, because it honestly might turn out to be one of the best decisions you have ever made in your entire life. I hope you guys did like that video. I know this video is really long and I want to cut it off here, but I hope you guys did kind of make it to this point, and I hope you do enjoy like understanding me, because it's not always just about me and it's not always just about investing and everything like that. Sometimes it's just about the lessons, and it's about understanding what things do work and what things worked for me that could work for you, what some things I did that you might want to try out, or just take what I've done and make it your own creation, write your own story and do your own thing with kind of like the little knowledge and details that I like to give in my videos. If you did like this video, once again, drop a like. If you are new to the channel, if you made it this far in the video, please let me know in the comment section. That would be awesome. You are awesome. I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching up until this point, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.